Hi Basil, my name is Aaron Byrne. My student number is C157099609, and today I will be talking to you about cloud instead of you talking to us about cloud. So as you can see here, right in front of me is the Google platform where I have already made one manager and two workers, and we'll be able to look at how they work together as a swarm a little bit later, because there's no point showing you that bit now. So what I will do though is I will go straight into the code that we have here. So as you can see here, the code itself begins off with the code that you gave us. As we look through, the assignment that you gave us involved many parts, including listing all the containers, listing the running containers, inspecting a specific container, creating images, creating new containers, deleting containers, cleaning all images. And with that you gave us some code which we could work off ourselves, and which was very helpful for me personally, because it took a bit of time to get used to doing all the different things. So as you can see in the app root containers, if I click up here, you can see here this is one of the ones that you gave us. So when the user typed in /containers, if the method was get, and as you can see by this part here, this is the second part. So this, if you typed in running in the top of the URL, it will show you the running one. So what I can do now is I can actually exit this, and what I will do down here is I'll run this, and I will bring you over to here. So this, when running the app like this, the main menu shows you all available endpoints, and they're all listed here in containers, state running. So this one we might check just to test this one out. So containers, let's see, so it's not this, it's state running, which should give me back all the running containers. As you can see here, there are 5. It's the first one, the second one, third one, and fourth one here. As you can see, this one is running on port 8020. This one here is running on 80. This one here is running on port 22. This is also running on port 80. If we have a look back at the code, let me just stop this, and we should look back on the code again. Now scrolling through the code again, we can see where some of this takes place. So here we check, and this is where when the user puts in request, so it checks the arguments, and if the state it's in says is running, it will display those docker PSs, which is the docker command. If that is not, if it doesn't ask for state to be running, it then will just show all the docker, all the containers that are running at the moment. Moving forward, we can have a look at all the images, which is quite similar to the code above. So this was easy enough for me personally to do, because it was quite similar to code above. The next one, however, took a bit of time. You can see there's a lot of comments here. So I tried a few different things here. So you can see the output, the Docker output is Docker Express. Try to put a result, the response in there as well to try to get it to come back to me. What I found worked for me the best was, and I couldn't figure out why it was the best, was if the response actually just became the Docker inspect ID, which inspects the container's ID. So you're passing in the container, which is passed in through the URL, and you use inspect to inspect that and pass the result back, and it seems to be the best one to use there. So as you move down here, we can have a look at some more stuff. So this is when it started getting a bit more complicated. So the app root with the images ID and with the method being delete, it turned into a bit more complex that is, and curls we had to start using curls to do these. So if I went to this here and have a little image is no, I am not running a container this app at the moment, so that's probably why that's happening. So let me just get out of this. I will run the app. What I can do here, as I do this, it should show me some images. And what should happen by looking at, I think if we did this, it tells us method not allowed, so obviously it's some sort of safety guard against people just coming on and deleting things. So what I found was the best thing to do was to actually, so stop this again. The best thing to do was to curl. So I can curl from what I might do is I might just talk through the code first, and then I can show you a few examples. I don't want to keep you here all day watching me blabber on for no reason. So here's the curl here for the containers. We don't want that. What we want is images here. So this part here, this is the one that took a bit of time. So if we have a look here, so the curl, the X specifies the HTTP request method, so this instance it's delete. Then we have we specified the header, so this, because we're using JSON, we use here. This is the IP address of my external IP address. I'm mapped to port 8080, and this is just saying that I need to pass in the ID. For me, this is what worked. So the command for Docker was Docker or mi, and I needed to put in -f to force remove some of them because they weren't being removed at all, and passing the ID just here. And the response I that gives back out is the image that was just deleted with the ID that was just deleted. And as we move down here, we can do it's the exact same thing with containers. It's a little bit less complicated because there was no forcibly removing any containers here. It just ran a lot better. Some tricky parts now coming up here down here with the containers, where we had to remove all the containers and check and see if they're running. So as you can see with some code here, I knew the command itself was Docker container remove, and inside that we're also calling Docker container list all containers there. So what I tried first was I tried to do here, which was a nested Docker function. That unfortunately didn't work out too well for me. So then I looped. So this took a bit of research to do. So looping through each Docker. So using what we used from above. So getting the list of all containers. Then using the function that you gave us to get all the Dockers to an array. So, and then I loop here through, so go over each one part in the loop. So for each I in the loop, we're going to stop the I with that ID, and then we're going to remove it, and then we're going to print out the screen which one has been removed. And then we'll return the response here. The same for the images. Images didn't have to be stopped to be deleted, so this was just a little bit easier. Again, with the use of a for loop here, which iterated over each one, it was very handy to have and do. While we came down here, so we move on from our delete methods to our post methods. This is the one that you had given us, so we won't spend much time on that because there's no point telling you what you did. We will, however, have a look at this. So I had to research a lot for this one. It took a lot of searching stuff, and I did find something that was, where did that go? That did help me here. So I have linked in this guy's GitHub, which I did not steal the code from, but I did reference this code a little bit here. I also noticed that secure file name and the I did notice that the secure file name and the mkdtemp were all imported at the top. So you had imported them for something, and I realized that it must have been for this. So this is a bit tricky, because what we're doing here is passing in on the URL, we're passing the file location on the current local drive. So for this one here, so this one up here just says Docker file. So for my curl that I sent in, it would have been ./dockerfiles/dockerfile, capital D in that one there. So what we had to do, we had to make a temporary directory. Then we had to make sure that the name that we were passing in that we got from the file, so up here, files, we had to make sure that that file's file name was secure, and we passed into a file name. Then we also had to pass in to make a directory for this new path of this file, and we had to put them all together so we was able to find where we wanted to go and make sure that it exists, and make sure it was a right syntax to it to make sure it worked properly. And when that happened, down here you can see the response docker build. The file name toLower I found it wouldn't work without toLower. It's not toLower, it's just lower. It didn't work without lower, unfortunately, and I don't know why, because I didn't have time to kind of look it up and find it out. So we're building -f is the file, so we know it's a file directory. So the file, we're looking for the file directory and the file path here. Return response here. Next method's up are patch. So patch are kind of like updates. So updates for different types of things. So the first update is one that you've done yourself. So we are going to set the container to running, and if it's running, we're going to restart it. The second one then is the images down here, and what we're doing here is we're going to change the tag of these images to, so we're going to change these tags to images, and in here, just as example, change them to test.1.0. You can change it to whatever you'd like in the URL, but here we've just said test 1.0 just to be different, just to make sure that just to show an example. Also added in here is the app-root/services and app-root-nodes which you listed but were not in the actual code themselves, which again, it wasn't quite difficult because they're quite similar to ones that we have above. Next I'm going to take you through some more code for some of the code that I have written.